Welcome to another episode of Success Through Failure. This is your host, Jim Harshaw Jr. Today, we're going to be talking about micro goals, this small set of goals that you should always have in your back pocket, literally. And these are going to drive you and help keep you clear, help keep you focused. So I'm really excited about this episode. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can see that I'm standing up. I've got a standing desk. I've always had an area in my office where I could just pick up my laptop and go stand. But now I actually got myself a Vari desk, VARI desk. I had one of these when I was working at the University of Virginia, always loved it, and finally got myself one at my home office. So here I am standing up. I have a lot more energy when I'm doing my podcast episodes. I always record them now standing up, and I do my talks, my virtual talks standing up. This is just part of my environment of excellence. Anyway, so I've got this. If you want to see what it looks like when I'm standing up, which is not that exciting, follow me on Instagram. And I'm actually posting more and more videos on Instagram. The promos or trailers of each of these episodes gets posted there. Paulin, my awesome, amazing assistant who's listening right now, hi Paulin, is taking clips from these episodes and creating like standalone pieces of content that she's posting to Instagram TV and elsewhere. So check it out over there. Look forward to seeing you there. Now this morning, I say I'm like really fired up right now, but this morning I've already gone through like this low and this high. And because I had one of my clients who I've been working with for maybe 6 or 8 months tell me, he's like, yeah, I think I'm just going to maybe take a step back and take a break for a little while. And that's always a bummer. Kind of like makes you feel like, makes you feel a little bit like you failed, and makes you feel like, what am what am I not doing right, man? Is everybody else thinking the same thing? Like, is everybody going to take a step back? And this failure actually led to a breakthrough for me and him, because what we did is we had a conversation and he said, well, Jim, I need more of this, or I like it when we were doing this, but we're not doing that as much now. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I can do more of that. So there was success through failure, and it's driving me to create some new things that have been kind of on the back burner for me, but have really come to the forefront in that conversation, as well as a couple other conversations I've had recently, which is really awesome. So I'm pretty fired up about that. I've got this renewed clarity. Success through failure ain't just the name of a podcast, as I always tell my kids. We also booked our flights from Montana. So we're going to drive to Montana again this summer, just like last summer. And my family's going to fly back. Last summer, they were supposed to fly back, but that's when COVID kind of was taken off. So they didn't fly back. We all just drove back, but they got there. So we're going to drive out. They're going to fly back. I'm going to hopefully make a swing through Denver and meet up with all kinds of peeps from the podcast. And I'm going to do an injustice by probably leaving out a few names, but there's a bunch of people around the Denver area who I've had on the show. Rourke Denver, Carrie Granger, Travis Macy, Ruben Gonzalez, Eric Weinmayer, there's some others who I'm leaving out right now, but anyway, there's like 6 or 8 of them that live right around that area that we tried to do a little get together last year. Didn't happen because we ended up driving back with the whole family. But I'm gonna meet all them. We're gonna do this meetup of all these like incredible, amazing people. We're gonna get together in person. Another one is Matt Phillips, who I left out there, but Matt has become a friend as well. Anyway, we're going to get everybody's going to get together. So that's going to be cool. So I'm fired up about that. I'm also fired up because I actually launched the registration for my first live event. This is a retreat for Pathfinders. Pathfinders are people who have been through my coaching program at some level, whether they're still current clients or they were clients in the past. If you want access to this, there is an accelerated program, because this is going to take place on May 22nd. If you want to get together with me and just other people who are like-minded and have invested in themselves, invested in their lives, and are just high-level operators, we're meeting in Princeton, New Jersey in May. And it's only available if you are a Pathfinder. So there's an accelerated program. Give me a call if you want to figure out, learn about the accelerated program, how you can get access to joining us for that day. Go to jimharshawjr.com/apply. This is going to be absolutely epic. So, all right, that's happening in May. So I'm really excited about that. But let's get into this episode here today. By the way, as always, you can listen to this on your smart speaker. Just tell your smart speaker to play the Success Through Failure podcast. If you don't have time to get through this entire episode, grab the action plan, go to jimharshawjr.com/action. And also, hey, take a screenshot of this right now. If you're listening to this on your phone, snap a screenshot, post it on Twitter, post it on Instagram, tag me in it so we can either continue the conversation or you can just say, hi, I just love and crave that connection with you, the listener. So tag me, let me know you're listening, and let's just continue the conversation over there. So let me know let me know if you're listening. Give me a shout out, and I look forward to interacting with you. All right, so I did some work with a corporate client recently named Curtis. Curtis, you're probably listening to this because I'm sending this to you. And he said, Jim, do you have any episodes that you recorded that really goes deeper on this micro goals? Because what we did is we did a couple of talks now with some folks around, and we talked about micro goals. And he's like, man, this is really good stuff. I need more. We want to go deeper. Can you tell us more about this? And I'm like looking back through my solo episodes. By the way, you can find all of those if you go to my website, jimharshawjr.com/solo. You'll see a list of every single solo episode. You can just hit play on any of them. You can hit play on all of them, listen to them all at the same time if you want. But I wouldn't recommend it. But there was no episode where I talked directly about micro goals. Now, some of them I alluded to what micro goals are and how you use them, but I never had recorded a specific episode just about these really in depth. So, Curtis, here you go, and everybody else, you can thank Curtis for this episode. Now, by the way, if you do have an idea for an episode or something you want me to talk about, I haven't talked about yet, just let me know. Again, you can give me a shout out on Twitter, Instagram, or just reach out, shoot me an email, jim@jimharshawjr.com. Again, you can schedule that the one-on-one call, coaching call if you'd like, and we can talk about it then too. So anyway, ideas for episodes, give me a holler. All right. You've heard of things called SMART goals, right? You've heard of, KPIs, maybe key performance indicators. SMART goal, by the way, if you haven't heard of SMART goals, or if you've heard of it but you forget what the acronym means, it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. These are SMART goals. I didn't invent that. I don't know who did. I don't know if anybody really knows who did. But SMART goals, KPIs, OKRs is another one, objectives and key results. Like these are all different sort of benchmarks and metrics for tracking your goals, tracking your progress toward a goal. Tim Ferriss, he talks about short duration, low cost experiments. Right. This is in episode 246, 247, when Tim and when I conducted that interview with Tim Ferriss. These are all of these are forms of micro goals, right? They all fall under the umbrella of micro goals. So when you're talking about SMART goals, really the specific and measurable part, that's the SMART goal. KPIs, what are these key performance indicators that you need to track? OKRs, objectives and key results. Short duration, low cost experiments. These are all a subset of a larger goal, something that you can track and measure along the way. These are just a key piece of Reveal Your Path. Reveal Your Path is my coaching program. And we always have micro goals. Like every one of my clients has micro goals. They know what they should be working on this month. Like right now, they know what they should be working on. Like that's the part of the framework. That's part of the system, is this clarity that these micro goals brings you. All right. So you determine your goal, and it should be something that is, at least 6 months out, probably more like 12 or 18 months out, or even further. But now you have to break it into micro goals. And by the way, if you say my goal is to work out 3 days a week, or 4 days, let's say four days, because you got to go at least 4, right? 4 or 5 days a week, whatever it is, whatever your goal is. And you say, well, my deadline for achieving that is like next week. Well, that's more of like a habit that you want to start, right? If your goal is I want to work out 4 days a week, every week for the rest of the year, now your deadline is December 31st. So I just want to be real clear about that. You want to set these longer term goals, and just set that timeline as something you want to look back on, like down the road, end of the year, 6 months from now, a year from now. So your micro goal would be around working out, and you're going to have a clear micro goal set around something like that. So, all right, let me give you some examples. Let me give you some examples of goals turned into micro goals. You want to run a marathon. I did that last year, ran my first marathon. Well, when I decided I wanted to run a marathon in, I think it was November, December, we decided it. I couldn't run the marathon then, but I could make a plan, right? So we decided, my running partner and I decided we're going to run the Pittsburgh Marathon. So that was the plan. It was in, I think it was supposed to be May, and ended up getting canceled. But we had a plan to run the marathon, right? So that was the first step of the goal, or the micro goal. The first step, the first micro goal was to determine which marathon we're going to run, and then start increasing our miles. So we started working on that in December. January was determine a training plan, like look up and find an actual training plan that we can use. So that was the micro goal, and then start following that plan. Just kind of going through like how it ended up. Like, February, I started having some issues, like some IT band issues. And so the micro goal then was meet with my chiropractor, meet with the local running shop guy, Mark Lorenzoni, here in Charlottesville, and talk to him about what might be going on and buy a new pair of running shoes. So I did that. Those were my micro goals for February. Then March came around and we had different micro goals, and then April, et cetera. And we ended up actually running the race a little bit earlier than we had planned because it was canceled. And we decided like we were sick of doing these super long runs. So we're like, let's just get this thing done. So we actually did it like a week and a half or 2 weeks earlier than we were supposed. The training plan called for, but we had these micro goals along the way. It was very clear. Like, so that's in like health or fitness, right? A marathon would be in that category of a goal. Let's say it's like, I want to start a business, right? Maybe that's your thing that you want to do. Well, your micro goal. Let's say you want to start a business or have a business making $1,000 per month at least in 6 months from today or a year from today. Well, micro goal number one would be maybe talk to 3 people who are already doing it. It might be schedule an appointment with my local small business development center or SCORE. I don't know if you've ever heard of SCORE, but it's a free resource for entrepreneurs and people in business who want to leverage the wisdom of others. SCORE stands for the Service Corps of Retired Executives. Right? Free, nonprofit. You can sign up and get some coaching from them, right? So that's another example of a micro goal. It might be buy the domain for the URL that I want to use for my business. It might be create a minimum viable product, an MVP, minimum viable product, or a prototype. So something very small, right? It might be simply get feedback from my market. All right, maybe you created your prototype last month. Well, your action plan, your micro goal for this month might be put it out to market and get feedback from 3 people or 5 people or 20 people or 100 people, whatever the number is. But this is the process. This is the process of turning goals into micro goals, because when you have those micro goals, you have a million things pulling at you. It helps you break it down to, these are the things that I'm working on in the various areas of my life. And here's where in my program, we set goals in relationships, self, health, and wealth. Relationships, self, health, and wealth. And I think those are all self-explanatory, except for maybe self. In the sort of subcategories under that are growth, impact, or fun. Growth is maybe learning a new skill or taking a course, etc. Impact would be volunteering or philanthropy. Fun is just fun. Like, what do I love to do? For me, it's like going camping, right? Setting a goal around something you just love to do. Wealth maybe takes a little bit of explanation there too. It's not just money. That's money, finances, career, etc. Right? So it could be, meeting with financial advisors and financial planning. It could be getting the promotion. It could be getting a raise. It could be business stuff, etc. So those are the 4 categories. But when you identify your goals in these areas, 1 to 2 goals per area, that gives you a maximum of 8, minimum of 4. And depending on the research that you read, anywhere from 3 to 8, depending on what research article you read, 3 to 8 is kind of the right number of goals. So this is right in that sweet spot. And but when you have those micro goals in each of these areas, you know exactly what your plan is. You know what you're doing. You know what you're working on. Like, yes, there's a million things pulling at you, but if it's not one of these 4 to 8 items that are on your micro goal list, then you need to question whether you should be doing it or not. And maybe you should because something came up, but it really helps you say no to things that you shouldn't be working on, things that you shouldn't be doing. Also, we work on core values. That's the very first exercise that we do in Reveal Your Path. And that's another compass, another guide, another thing that you can, another tool that you can use to help you make decisions in your life in terms of how you should be spending your time and how you should be spending your energy and your bandwidth, etc. All right. And by the way, so these 4 categories: relationships, self, health, and wealth. One of my clients, Jeff, and I'll just mention him as well, and he's probably listening. Uh, he really said, okay, I like these core 4 categories, but I'm going to do some research on this. And he went and read like multiple other books and did research on all these other people who have their different sort of categories. And he's like, nope, this is it, man. He's like, this is really it. You've nailed it. Like, these are the 4 categories because these cover everything. So this is all you need. This has been vetted by Jeff for sure. So if you're wondering, like, because there's a lot of people talking about different categories of goals, this really covers everything. All right, so let me give you an example of a relationship goal and micro goal. Okay, so you got to make the goal a SMART goal. It's got to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound, and time bound just means have a deadline. And so a relationship goal, a lot of people go, well, I want to have a stronger relationship with my wife. Well, that's not a SMART goal. It's a good idea. It's a great start. But what you would want to say to make that a specific, measurable goal is, I want to improve my relationship and connection with my wife by scheduling at least 1 date night per month and doing 2 overnights per year without the kids, and doing some kind of, reading a book together, doing some kind of like marriage connection program together, something like that. That's actually my relationship goal for this year. And so what do you do to set micro goals around that? Well, literally every month, the beginning of the month, I plan like, okay, when are we going to do a date night? Did we do last month's date night? Yes, no. Are we going to do it again this month? And you might say one date night a month is kind of setting the bar low. It is, but that's like the minimum standard for us. And for years we used to say, yeah, we'll have at least 1 date night a month. Wasn't happening until we started actually being intentional about it. So, so you want to set these goals. So, for example, I'm trying to find a time for my wife and I. We got 4 kids. I'm trying to find a time for us to do like an overnight without the kids. It's been hard through COVID, but now that things are starting to open up again, we can start planning this. And so, one of my micro goals is to put it on the calendar and start researching where we can go, when we can go, how, who can watch the kids, that kind of thing. That's the micro goal. I'm moving forward. I'm advancing the ball a little bit in each of these areas. Now, let me caution you with this, or maybe put you at ease with this. You might be thinking, well, Jim, I'm really busy at work right now. Or, Jim, I really have to work on my relationship right now. Or, Jim, I really have to, focus on my health right now. Or maybe I'm committed to doing a Spartan race or something hard, really big kind of scary goal in that area of my life. So I've got to really push that at a level 10. I can't be working on these other goals. They just kind of have to fall away for now. Well, no, they don't. And, our desire sometime, if you're listening to this podcast episode, you're somebody who has drive. You're somebody who's wired similar to myself, similar to my clients. You want to push all the dials to 10. Right? If you kind of think of it as a mixer board, and you just want to push all the sliders up to level 10. Well, you can't. And that's what the micro goals allows for. It allows for you to back off on one so you can push the dial up on another one this month. Because boss put a big project on your desk, or man, you really fell out of balance at home because last month you had a big project, or it was like the busiest month of the year for you at work. So you really got to dial it up at home. And maybe that means pulling some things back in your workouts. Maybe instead of, doing, working out 7 days a week, you go, I'm just going to work out 4 days a week and, do some push-ups and set-ups and burpees at home for 10 minutes a day on those other days so I can spend more time with my family. Right. So you're adjusting these dials every month. Some of them are driven up, some of them are pulled back. In this way, this whole system of reveal your path, we work on the whole person. Everything's connected. Like all of these areas are connected. I was talking to a client yesterday, Brandon. He said he knows he needs to get into balance at work. He's a worker. I mean, he's a guy who puts his head down and he knows how to work, man. And he's like, I know that's great, and he's been very successful. But he also knows that, if he can really harness things in and get in balance, and we talked about a couple specific things, then that'll bring balance back into his relationships, into family and home and stuff like that. Not that things are great there for him, but he's like, yeah, I know that there's some balance, additional balance that can be had there. And so it's not about having all things at level 10. This is about working on you as the whole person, pulling certain dials back, pushing certain ones higher when and where you need to. And you can do this on a monthly basis. It doesn't have to be this year-long commitment. This is a monthly basis. You're pulled in a million different directions in your life. You can't really just focus on the one area. If you're like, hey, I want to turn the other ones to 0 so I can just really focus on this one. No, you don't want to do that. You want to have them all, maybe you're pulling the one that was at a 10 or an 8 last month. Maybe you're pulling that back to 4 or 5, but you're not pulling it back to 0. This is part of the system. This is part of the framework. It's flexible to suit you. It's flexible to suit anybody in their situation. You just have to understand the framework. And failure is built into this model. You can fail along the way. Tim Ferriss talked about these short duration experiments. Like, when you fail, it's data, it's information. It allows you to go, okay, I didn't succeed in achieving my micro goal last month, but I can set a new one. I can try it again. I can try it again differently, or I can set something totally different. This is part of the path. This monthly idea of having these monthly micro goals allows you to modify and adjust things. I also want to say that sometimes your micro goals just stay the same. Sometimes they're the same every month, maybe for 2 or 3 or 4 months in a row, or 6 months in a row, or maybe a year in a row. It's not usually the case, but it could be. It doesn't matter. All you're doing is having an intention, a focused, set, planned intention every month, even if you're just renewing it, to do the things that you need to do to move towards your goal. So when do you set these micro goals? Like, you don't set them for the entire year. You don't sit down in January and plan out your micro goals for the entire year. You do it month to month. As Stephen Pressfield said in our, I think it was our first interview with him, was you build the path as you go. You build your path as you go. Like, I love the analogy of driving from New York City to LA at night. You can drive, the whole way across the country at night, going the whole way across the continent with just seeing 100 or 200 feet in front of you with your headlights. Like, you don't have to see the whole way. You just have to see far enough down the road that you have that clarity. Because guess what? There are forks in the road. There's construction that happens. There's accidents. There's detours that come up. You don't have to see the whole way. This goes for any area of your life. You don't have to, you're like, man, Jim, I really want to quit my job and build the business. Man, I really want to, lose 30 pounds, but I just don't see a way of doing it. I'm so busy. I'm maxed out. I work crazy hours. You don't have to see the whole way there. You just have to see the next 30 days. And if you fail in the next 30 days, you say, okay, that didn't work. How else can I do this? Not can I do this? How else can I do this? There's a subtle difference in that. But you're assuming, if you say, how else can I do this? Or what can I do? How can I do this? You're assuming there is a way. That assumption allows your mind to work on the solution. So failure is built into this system and this process. So you're setting these micro goals month to month. You have focused attention. You're renewing your micro goals each month. And here's the key. You've got to get this. You've got to get this. And my clients know this. And for my clients who are listening right now, this is the crux. This is the key. You know this. You've got to do this. It's easy to do. It's easy not to do. Once you set your micro goals, if you don't look at them for 30 days, you're going to forget what they are. I would. I forget them like the next day. But I keep them in front of me. I have them written on a Post-it note. I write them on the back of my business card. I write them down in my journal once, a couple times, 2-3 times a week, just to keep them top of mind. You have to see them. I use like on my laptop now. I just rediscovered this tool, at least on a Mac, it's called Stickies. I think on a PC, it's like a Post-it note kind of thing. It looks like a Post-it note. It's on your desktop, and I write my micro goals. I'm looking at them right now, right here in front of me. They're always in front of me. They're always easy to see. So it keeps them top of mind for me, because guess what? You're going to drift. To extend the analogy of being on the path, to reveal your path, like, you know, as you go down the path, you'll drift. If you're not consistently looking at the path, seeing the path in front of you, you're going to drift. And before you know it, you're going to be bushwhacking. You're not going to be sure where the path is, and you're going to be fighting against the brush and the underbrush and the branches that you got to fight through. If you don't stay on your path, if you don't know where your path is, if you don't intentionally see and view the path in front of you, with the Post-it notes, with the goals written on the back of the business card, etc., you've got to see this in front of you. You have to have intention around this. So how does this sound to you? Does this resonate? Do you want to talk more about this? Go to jimharshawjr.com/apply. If you want to continue this conversation, let's go over to Twitter. Let's go over to Instagram. Take a screenshot right now. If you're listening on your smartphone, or if you're listening on your computer, take a screenshot there too, and tag me on Twitter, tag me on Instagram. Let's continue this conversation over there, or just say hello. I love to get those shout outs. Love to get those messages from you. Helps me feel more personally connected to you, helps you and I really actually connect one-on-one. So I love doing that. So let's connect over there. Or if you have other ideas for the podcast, you can tell me those as well over there. So I look forward to hearing from you. Take action on this. Go to jimharshawjr.com/action. You'll have the action plan from this episode. By the way, you get all kinds of other action plans. Scroll down through the page and you'll just see every action plan that I've ever created, which is an insane amount. But go back to, like, pick an episode that you like, the Tim Ferriss episode, or Rich Roll, or John Jantz from Duct Tape Marketing, or Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels. I mean, there's so many. I've Navy SEALs, right? You can go to the jimharshawjr.com/SEAL and you'll see all the episodes of my interviews with Navy SEALs and Special Forces. I mean, there's so much good stuff in there. Take the time, go back and find those action plans that really resonate with you. I look forward to interacting with you on social media, and I look forward to talking to you on the next episode.
If you like this video, hit the like button below. But also, what was helpful? What wasn't helpful? What questions do you have? I'll reply to every comment below. And if you actually want to get all of the notes, all of the quotes, all of the links, all of the action items from this entire episode, go to jimharshawjr.com/action and you can download the free PDF action plan. It'll give you all the notes, quotes, links, everything from the entire episode. You'll also get access to all of the action plans from all of my episodes of the Success Through Failure podcast. And if you want to learn how you can actually apply this learning to your life, figure out how you can start getting results now, you can actually sign up for a free one-time coaching call with me. Just go to jimharshawjr.com/apply. That's jimharshawjr.com/apply. It's a very quick, short application process. Find a time on my calendar, fill out the questionnaire, and you and I will have a conversation about how you can start getting results in your life by applying what you've learned. I look forward to talking to you.